My name is Pat Moore. I'm an American comedian living in Berlin, and this is the story of my first ever comedy tour that took me all across Europe. Something went hilariously wrong at almost every single show, except for this show in Vienna. This one actually went pretty well, which I know screws up the whole viral hook of being like, oh, it went so wrong. Anyway, my show is called Mama's Boy, and it was all about my experience growing up with gay parents in the 90s. So I woke up early on a Monday morning to head to the airport and fly to Austria. I'd never been to Austria, and I was really excited for the shows in Vienna and Graz. These shows were actually the impetus of the whole tour, and I have to shout out the producer, Roland, who reached out to me and offered to put on my shows in Vienna and Graz, host me in his downstairs apartment, and let me guest host his open mic on Monday night. I walked out of the train station in Vienna, and immediately a bird shit on my pants. And they were the only pair of pants I brought on the trip, a possible omen of what was to come. I walked through the city, and it was one of the most stunning cities I had ever visited, and it didn't hurt that there were cotton candy pink skies over these cathedrals as well. I rocked up to the open mic that I would be hosting, which was in the basement of an Irish pub. I checked in with my host and collaborator, who revealed we had 0 tickets sold for the show in Graz, but that's the story for the next episode. I had so much fun hosting the mic. It was great meeting the other comics, and it was also eye-opening. There were so many talented comedians in Vienna and different audience dynamics than I was used to. The next day was showtime. I spent the day doing some work, going over my notes for the show, and figuring out that between the mic the night before and the show in Vienna, I had covered my costs for the trip, which is a big deal for doing comedy at my level and was a huge relief considering the cost of the airfare. We arrived at the venue, which was kind of a hip modern brewery type place. The show was in the basement room, which reminded me slightly of the room where they held birthdays at the laser tag place by my house growing up. But once the room was set up, it looked really proper for a comedy show. This was such a different experience than the shows I did in Barcelona and Dresden. Roland was hosting and had organized 2 openers to help warm up the crowd and get around the issue of needing to do a break in the middle of the show. So it was the first time that I got to perform the show under ideal conditions, and it did not disappoint. It was one of those nights in comedy where it feels magical and effortless. It felt like the audience and I were connecting. They came with me on almost every single joke, and it was one of those little moments where you think, maybe the show is actually good, and maybe I'm not completely terrible at doing comedy. It was also one of those smaller shows where the power of one really good laugher can chemically change an entire audience, and we, comedians, we salute you loud laughers, especially here in Europe. I ended the night having a pint with some of the other comics and just walking on clouds, blissfully unaware of the stress to come with the next show. Like and follow to hear that story.